broadcasting live from the Astral Arena on the plain of Kolbahan. This is Tap Tap Concede.
Everybody in the club getting down tonight, getting hot tonight, drawing magic cards tonight. So be quiet at this club, even though it's just ostensibly for dancing, because we are trying to run a draft and it's hard to concentrate.
Everybody at the club, we've rented this club.
It's also cool we turn up the lights. It's a little dark in here.
Yeah, we're everybody.
And turn down the music, possibly.
Everybody at the club, we've rented this space. We're running a PTQ. Can everyone please be quiet?
Who invited you in here anyway?
Can we get some non-alcoholic drinks over here? And somebody tell that lady to put on some clothes.
Anyway.
Actually, not. I'd be totally okay with like a GP with a bar.
That would be very hard.
It'd be super difficult.
Yeah.
We had a PTQ here locally at a
right.
place that had a bar, but the bar wasn't open.
Yeah,
obviously our game store is not going to rent the extra cost of getting the bar to be open.
Like many GPs are at hotels, so you go to a hotel bar.
It's also like, Magic is ostensibly like 12 plus.
Yeah.
Plus.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, you'd check at the bar, obviously.
Right.
Like, you wouldn't license the event. You just Well, I mean, you'd have to license the event, but you wouldn't ID at the door, is what I'm saying.
You would have to have, it would have to be like, it couldn't be a GP, but you could have like a 19 if in Canada or a 21 older tournament.
Right.
Where minors just aren't allowed.
Right.
I like the
I don't know why. Yeah.
when we went to the Innistrad launch event, and it was basically like in sort of a club. They had music playing and dance floor and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But then they also had like little tables that everyone was just kind of drafting on. There were like bowls of land.
Yeah.
Like there might be like bowls of like ecstasy tablets.
Yeah. As like one of those clubs from like Blade or something.
Yeah. So everyone just sort of and like I had a very interesting discussion with one of the rules people for at the time EDH or Commander, but it was a difficult discussion because we were shouting over the music. It's like, this is a weird place to have an interesting rules discussion with somebody.
Yeah. I think they got even better the next year with their party.
Oh, the next year was sick because I had those drinks and test tubes.
That was great.
I had like 6.
So welcome to after all of that, welcome everybody to Tap Tap Concede. My name is Graham. As always, Kathleen is here.
Everybody in the club get down tonight.
And James is here.
Yo.
I kind of feel like I need some sort of intro music.
And Paul is here.
I am also here. Hello.
And
I'd like to think many of us are here to discuss Magic, but I'm almost exclusively here for comic relief.
This week we're going to finally announce the winners of our 2 recent forum contests. We're going to crack into a pack, and we're going to do what we said we would do weeks ago, which is we're going to talk about cards in Gatecrash that we feel might be relevant to the Commander format. So
I guess we're gonna try and leave discussion of Dragon's Maze until next Tap Tap Concede.
Yeah.
Theoretically, it should be almost all.
It'll be entirely spoiled.
It'll be entirely spoiled.
Well, actually, we won't be here next week.
It'll be spoiled by the time you guys hear this podcast, I think.
Yes. Well,
it goes up on Monday.
If it goes up on Monday, yeah.
Yeah.
But we actually won't be here to record next week because we'll be in Calgary. So, Graham and Kathleen can do an episode if they want.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we might do something. We might.
Jared's still here. Get him on it.
Oh yeah. Actually, that's a good idea. We should get
and Alex will be.
We should get Serge and Alex to come over and talk about Budget Lander.
Yep, you could do that.
That could be good.
Nice, that'd be good, yeah.
Anyway, so today we're going to crack a pack that has seen better days. Is this rust?
It's possible.
How is this rusted?
Is it actually? I don't think that's.
There's a lot
I don't
of
know if that's actually rust.
There are a lot of artifacts in that set.
Hi-oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a pack of Chronicles.
Yeah.
What a mistake this was. So
I mean, it's good from a player perspective. There's all sorts of great cards in there.
Yeah.
So the idea behind Chronicles was what was it?
It was, I mean, the idea behind Chronicles was reprinting good cards.
Yeah.
Because there weren't enough of them around.
Yeah.
Which
there was also a thing with like white border. No, I'm thinking of core sets now. That something couldn't be something couldn't be reprinted in a white border core set until it had first been done in a black border expansion. This was before they started to do the actual core sets with black borders and actually print brand new cards for core sets. Because it used to be the core set was only ever reprints.
Yeah.
Right.
And
now-
that made it hard to sell.
That does not relate to this.
So Chronicles, the thing Chronicles is did happen is that it is responsible for the ban list, or not the ban, the
reserve list.
the reserve list.
Yeah.
So
The
we can
foil
thank
is
Chronicles for the fact that there's all sorts of cards that will never be reprinted, which is kind of annoying. All the multi-lands, a bunch of other stuff, can never be reprinted because there was so many people up in arms about Chronicles because they did reprint a bunch of valuable cards, thereby crashing the value of all those cards. That Wizards was like, okay, we'll do this reserve list. We will never print this stuff ever again. And now we're stuck with that.
Awkward.
And
Yeah.
Chronicles, and no one cares about Chronicles now because it's all white bordered and crappy because there was a lot of it.
Yeah.
They printed
Yeah.
tons of Chronicles.
But there's still lots of good cards in Chronicles.
Yes.
Yes.
But if you look at like the same card in the sort of real version, the version from Alpha Beta Unlimited or Revised.
Well, it's not from Alpha Beta. It's the stuff in Chronicles is from Arabian Nights, Antiquities, Legends, and the Dark.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you look at stuff from the set that it was actually from, and then look at the Chronicles version, it's like, the Chronicles version is worth like 10% of the real version.
Yeah.
So
All
anyway,
right.
let's see what
I have
we
a
got.
little guessing game for you guys. What early keyword is on this card? Is a
Banding.
Nope. It is a
Horsemanship?
nope. It is relevant to combat, but is not banding or horsemanship.
Vigilance?
It's definitely one that is not used anymore.
Oh.
Rampage.
Rampage, good one. This is the Craw Giant. He is a 6/4 that casts for 3 green.
Sweet.
I'll repeat that.
Oh wait, that's the Time Spiral Craw Giant.
Oh, you got to find the one with. It's the right art, but it's the the Chronicles is the symbol at the very far right.
That one?
Yeah. So it's the
Oh, I see. Because Chronicles didn't actually have its own symbol.
no, but it's white bordered.
Yeah.
So it's 7 mana, 4 of which are green, for a 6/4 with Trample and Rampage 2.
So he's a Craw Worm, but with Trample and Rampage 2.
Yeah, and the Rampage is, for those of you who may not be aware of what Rampage does, because there isn't any reminder text on the card, whenever this creature becomes blocked, it gets +X until end of turn, where X is the Rampage number, for each creature blocking it beyond the first one. So, in this guy's case, if you block him, nothing happens. If you double block him, he gets +2/+2. If you triple block him, he gets +4/+4.
So you have to be blocking him with creatures that are better than 2/2s.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I mean, that ability has actually been reprinted. Just they don't call it Rampage anymore, but they've actually,
I
in
guess-
very recent times.
Guardian of the Gateless
Kind of. Yeah.
has
Yeah.
no, she does. She actually has Rampage 1.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, but they don't keyword it
No,
anymore.
she doesn't, because she gets +1/+1 for every creature that.
Yeah, she's blocking.
that-
yeah.
that
Not
she-
just beyond
sorry.
the first.
First of all, I'm completely wrong.
Yeah.
For one thing, it's only creatures that she is blocking.
Yes.
It's not creatures that block her.
Yeah.
Also, she gets it for the first one and every other one, not
But
just once.
I'm pretty sure there
in
is a card that came out in the last couple sets that had basically had Rampage.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
But
Anyways,
they
keep
just-
going.
Moving on.
All right. Juxtapose for 3 and a blue. This is a sorcery. You and target player each choose one of the creatures you control with the highest casting cost, exchange control of these creatures, then do the same for artifacts. If one of the players does not control a creature or artifact, don't exchange that type of card.
I dig the art on that one. I like that guy.
He's weird looking.
Moving on.
Yep. Blood of the Martyr.
I remember this card.
Casts for white. It is an instant. Until end of turn, you may redirect to yourself all damage dealt to any number of creatures. The source of the damage does not change.
Interesting.
See, did Dark really need a bunch of reprints?
No.
No.
All right.
I like the art on that card, though.
Yeah.
Mountain Yeti.
Yeah.
3/3. A 3/3 Yeti for 2 red. He has Mountain Walk, which makes sense, and Protection from White.
Hi, guys.
Because he survives in the snow, I guess? I think that's what the flavor they were going for there.
Yeah, that's the flavor as opposed to color pie thing.
Here we go. Ashnod's Altar is an artifact for 3, and for 0, you can sacrifice, or I guess it's actually sacrifice a creature is probably what it's changed to now. Yeah, sacrifice a creature, add 2 colorless to your mana pool.
Play this ability
really
as an interrupt.
With like a mirror deck or something like that, where you can tap them for mana and then sack them.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm totally positive that there are horrible combos with that guy.
Yeah. Got 1/3 of the Urzatron here. Urza's Mine. Add 1 colorless to your mana pool. If you control Urza's Mine, Urza's Tower, and Urza's Power Plant, add 2 colorless to your mana pool instead.
Hooray.
Urza's Mine.
Relevant in Modern. Oh, there's 4 different ones of it? Oh. If you care at all, this is the one that looks like a bastion.
There it is.
That one.
That one? Oh, that's the least interesting one.
Yeah.
So these were... Oh, okay, these came out later as well.
Active Volcano.
That seems bad.
It is a red instant for 1 red. Destroy target blue permanent or return target island to its owner's hand.
All right.
I feel like I actually probably want this for my commander deck.
Yeah, that seems good.
Just destroy target blue permanent.
Yeah. For 1.
Is Counterflux red and blue, or is it just blue? Or
It's red and blue.
Yeah.
is it?
Isn't it?
Or is it just blue?
Pretty sure it's red and blue.
Point is, I want to kill Cam's Counterflux.
It is red and blue.
No, not Counterflux. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, then I don't know what card you're thinking of.
Yeah, what card?
Is the card you're thinking of red and blue, or just
The art is oh god, what is it? Why can't I remember this? It's part of that disgusting combo. It's an enchantment, and you can anytime anyone casts a spell, you can reveal the top card of your library.
Oh, yeah.
And if it's the same CMC as the card that's being cast, you counter it.
You counter it. What is that card called?
Damn it!
Can't remember.
I feel so stupid now.
I don't remember that card.
Well, I'm sure you all know. I can
All right.
I can hear. I can't quite make out what you're yelling at us. Wall of Vapor. 3 and a blue. Summon Wall. Damage dealt to Wall of Vapor by creatures it blocks is reduced to 0. It's a 0/1.
But it's vapor. It can't be that good.
Vapor OR.
I kind of like that.
Check the OR. There you go.
It's very lousy.
It's like Fogbank.
Yeah.
It's just
I have that. I totally have one of those.
it's basically just 0/1. Can't really be killed.
Yeah.
It just,
Yeah, it was
just
just-
blocks all day.
You'd have
It's
to
not-
put a -1/-1 counter
It costs
on it.
4 though, which is
Yeah.
like something like Will o' the Wisp or something is probably better.
Keepers of the Faith. They're a 2/3 for 3.
Is that it?
Yep.
Well.
1 white for a 2/3.
Oh yeah.
They don't look so tough. They're just monk guys in robes. You can take them.
They look like the robes look kind of like light and lilac, like they're at some sort of like beach resort and they're covering up.
And then the Archangel Antheus spoke to them, saying, "Fear shall be vanquished by the sword of faith,
Don't forget to put on sunscreen.
but not too much fear, because you're only a 2/3."
Argothian Pixies.
Ooh, fairies. Are they actually creature type fairy?
They are. They are a 2/1 for 1 and a green.
All
and
right, when fairies are back in green.
They cannot be blocked by artifact creatures, and any damage dealt to them by artifact creatures is reduced to 0.
Well, that's nice.
I forgot
Nice.
the Argothian means pro artifact. I have the Argothian tree folk in my
This is
the
from
forest
Antiquities.
itself deck. Yeah,
Yeah.
because Antiquities was all about the artifacts.
Yeah.
Oh man, Goblins of the Flarg.
Flarg.
They are a 1/1 for 1. They have Mountain Walk. If at any time you control any dwarves, sacrifice Goblins of the Flarg.
The good news is that is highly unlikely
Yeah.
because there are literally like 5 goblins or 5 dwarves in Magic.
James and I were drafting Shadowmoor the other day, which is like Kithkin all up in everywhere, and one of our opponents had a dwarf.
Oh,
The Durgar.
I can't remember what it was.
He untaps. You can untap him to give all your guys +1/+0 till end of turn.
Yeah.
And the last one, is the Warfluent.
Yeah, elephant.
What is it?
It's a war elephant. It's a picture. It's just an elephant. He's a 2/2 with banding and trample
Yeah.
This did not need to be reprinted.
for 3 and a
I
white.
like that Chronicles didn't reprint all the good cards. They just seem to reprint
Whatever.
a bunch of cards.
Like,
Yeah.
look at that
Some
guy.
cards.
Like, look at the
Look at the
the oracle text
the
for
size.
banding.
They had to explain banding.
Ooh.
Good God.
All right, what am I going to take out of this pack here? This pack is not amazing.
I don't know.
Like, Craw Giant's unplayable.
I just walk away from the drafting table.
Yeah.
I take the wall of...
You're like,
Mm,
why
no,
are-
I take the
I question
juxtaposed
why
as
we are
silly.
drafting.
Why are we drafting?
Why
this
are we
set?
drafting Chronicles?
I would take...
You're looking for all the dwarves.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
There are a total in Magic of
38 dwarves,
38 dwarves. That's not bad.
I don't know. Like, part of me
including a
says
zombie dwarf.
I want to take the Wall of Vapor so I can draft a super Lauxy deck, right?
Yeah.
Because you can tell it's a John Lauxy card because look at the converted mana cost compared to its power toughness. Like, does it absolutely fail the vanilla test? Then that's a card John Laux would draft. But I think
he's a fan of Fogbank anyway.
yeah, I know. But like, the sarcasm.
Fogbank is way better than that.
I know. They were making a sarcastic joke about how he drafts only creatures that fail the vanilla test in like his second to last show with limited resources. But I think I'll just take the active volcano because it has the word destroy on it and everything is bad. Or maybe the mountain yeti, but at least I can cast the. Nah, I guess I take the Yours is Mine.
One blue dwarf.
Huh.
That guy. And he's not even a dwarf. Like, he was a legend originally, and then he got retconned to be a dwarf.
Oh, because of the flavor text. It's nice to see a sister dwarf in a position of such power, but why'd it have to be one of those seafaring mule heads?
Yeah, so she's like a, sea dwarf.
When they went through and did all
What the
the
hell is a sea dwarf?
when they went through and did all the oracle changes to creature type, they were like I guess they were just looking at the flavor text and went, oh, I guess this one's a dwarf then. It's funny too because they did
She double pings, but then doesn't untap.
when they did that change with all the subtypes. One of the subtypes they added was Archer, and so they went through and every card that was depicted of the creature carrying a bow or a crossbow became an archer.
Oh, that's weird.
Right? So there's one that's like human wizard warrior archer.
They should have only given the archer ability to people who have reach. Like
or interact with flyers.
or interact with flyers in some way.
Because like
or like pinged or do something that is archery.
Yeah.
Archery.
Yeah.
All right.
So
All right.
on.
That pack sucked.
Yes, that was terrible. A couple. Thank you, by the way, for whoever donated it to us. I believe
Yes.
that was.
It is
another
not your
one.
fault that the pack sucked.
Yeah, I can't actually. I feel so stupid now. I can't remember if that was one. I think didn't we just get that at PAX, or was that one of the ones?
No, that was one of the
that
ones
was
that
one
was
of the,
sent to
that was
us.
okay. That was one of the ones that Lisa sent us then. So,
Yeah.
All right. So a couple weeks ago, we asked you to design a card for Yellow Jacket, our local game store. And a lot of you designed some
There's a
really
lot of cards.
some yeah. There's a lot of them, and a lot of them are busted, and a lot of them are hilarious, and yeah, there's some really really fun ones. We wanted to call some of them out specifically. Jeff's design, JEPH, calls back the joke from the episode, in that it gives you can grant one of your creatures horsemanship.
Right.
Which was a reference, and the flavor text is, "Hey Ed, get the box of Portal 3 Kingdoms out of the safe."
And I find horsemanship just funny.
Yeah, I just love the name for that ability. Like for some reason, just the word horsemanship, I really enjoy.
And just like alternate flying.
Yeah.
Which
Paul's
ones?
trying to just find the actual. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, there we go.
So yeah, Legendary Land Locust for just added value.
Yeah.
Add two colors to your mana pool. Play it only if you control 2 other legendary lands, which is interesting. And then target creature gains horsemanship for 4. Hey Ed, get the Portal 3 Kingdoms from the safe. We really liked utilitarians. It was on the previous page. Because It does a couple things that are sort of in flavor, but there's a joke on there which was sacrifice Yellow Jacket. Right, so it's a legendary land card shop. Enters tapped, add 1 colorless, 4 untap, target creature you control fights target creature because, you're having a match. Sacrifice Yellow Jacket. Now Loading Ready Run doesn't have a place to play Magic. Why would you do that?
Yeah. I like the cost is sacrifice Yellow Jacket and the effect is.
Yeah. Why would you do that?
I like that it's he thought about this, that the target creature you control fights another creature, you lose 2 life, because that's the buy-in for the tournament.
Yeah, I like that. Some other really flavorful ones, which are both on the first page, I believe. ERJ Hunter, or Urge Hunter, or Hunter, is the Everybody Fights Everyone thing, which is tap to add one mana of any color to your mana pool, but you can only use it to cast humans. And for 3 and tap, each creature you control fights target creature chosen at random that target opponent controls, because the pairings are random. Activate this ability only if you and opponent control an equal number of creatures, because otherwise one of them would be getting a bye, and where's the fun in that? So,
well, I like he actually has this, like, the concept here was lots of humans like to play Magic, and when you get enough of them into a room, you have a tournament with random pairings. Couldn't figure out how to include buys without making the card dumb.
so you just have to have an even number of creatures. But you get to choose, which is nice.
Yeah.
Or no, you don't, because they're random, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Target player. Unknown Gamers entry we really liked as well, for the flavor of that one, for the flavor of buying cards, which is it tap to add 1 colorless, and for 4 and tap, take a card you own from outside the game and shuffle it into your library, which I like. And, even though in general cards that reference things outside the game, I know that Paul especially, they bug.
Yeah.
They bug you.
I find it amazing and annoying that they actually, like, that's not just something that they don't print anymore. That cards that
Rise of Eldrazi, they printed one.
Is that really Yellow Jacket's phone number right on the sign?
Yeah.
Like it seems like the kind of thing that should have gone away with anti cards.
Yeah.
480, really?
Yeah, it's an old phone number. But our favorite that we decided is the entry from Super Quasi, which is this one here.
Quazzle.
Super Quazzle. Yellow Jacket, legendary land. When Yellow Jacket comes into play, put a legendary 0/1 blue human creature token named Dan onto the battlefield. When Yellow Jacket leaves the battlefield, exile that token. When that token leaves the battlefield, sacrifice Yellow Jacket. Why is Yellow Jacket so fragile? Because tap to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, or tap to draw a card.
I guess
good.
In terms of templating, that should probably be 2 different abilities. But anyway,
Yeah,
probably. But so it's legendary, so you can only have 1 of the land. Dan is legendary, so you can't clone him.
Why is Dan blue?
I think he's blue because actually here you throw Dan's token.
Here's the Dan token.
I assume because
a nice touch.
I would have assumed white or something.
Yeah, I guess white sort of falls more with like shopkeepers and stuff, but blue is usually used for like scholars and things and people with books.
Dan's no scholar.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
He's doing math in this.
Yeah, exactly.
So I like that this land is really, really strong, but it has a huge weakness.
Yeah.
This is a mechanic that has actually shown up in Magic a few times.
Mm-hmm.
That like a really powerful guy or a really powerful thing comes into play with a really weak thing, and that that gives it a big disadvantage.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like that because I mean, Yellow Jacket doesn't work if there's nobody actually running the store. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I like that.
All right, and then there was we had another card challenge.
Yeah.
Issued.
And I recommend.
Weeks ago.
By the way, I recommend anyone listening who hasn't checked out the forums do go to the forum thread, check out the thread for the Commander episode, which is what this was in, and look at all the suggestions for the Yellow Jacket card. Because I think
and thanks to Lord Hosk for turning all the text-based suggestions into cards.
That was awesome.
Makes it much more visually interesting.
So then we asked you to design a Planeswalker card for Mike Gills. We did that because of us retelling the story of his wacky draft formats at PAX East. Just flip it later. And we got some really awesome submissions for that, and we have a winner. Did we pick any sort of like runner-ups? I don't think we did with this one.
There was so many. Like for one thing, there was so many, and for another, there was so many that had such great ideas.
Yeah,
and they all sort of surrounded kind of like lots and lots of cards.
yeah.
Or like I love. Wait, just scroll back up for a second. So this one here from I can never pronounce his name. Seemasane. Anyway,
Scared Batman.
yeah, plus X. Draw X cards.
Yeah.
You get to choose that.
Yeah.
You can just be like,
I'm gonna put 100 counters on.
I'm gonna do plus 20 and draw. Yeah, and then next turn minus 10, draw your library. As opposed to you could just pay.
Yeah, exactly.
Like plus 50 and draw 50
yeah.
cards. And
Well, actually, the -8 is interesting though, because so you have no maximum hand size and skip your draw step,
yeah.
which is good, except it's an emblem.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, so this would be no problem because you skip your draw step, but you can just draw X cards.
But
If Mike Gills ever dies, then you're
but,
stuck with this album.
But
this
how?
emblem.
Because the minute he comes into play, you like
They're
plus like 15 or 16.
They-
Just
they-
Dreadbore him. Just
or-
Dreadbore him right
or
out.
Hexmage.
I guess, yeah.
So if Mike Gill's
if you have-
Planeswalk or Promotions Manager ever dies, then you're stuck with this emblem that says you can't draw any cards.
Well, what you do
Sure.
is you just get Laboratory Maniac into play.
Right.
And then you just play this, draw your deck, and win immediately.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, if you have Mike Gill's Promotions Manager out and you lose, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it is very broken.
But the one we decided to go with, a little further down,
By the way, I love the art on that one.
that's terrifying.
on the Mer King. I don't know why he becomes a merfolk. I like that.
Yeah.
Lord Haas decided to make one that was playable and one that was busted.
There he is.
Yes, Mike Gill's former employee, which is someone. This is someone's first post, and they post with their name. Scroll up a little bit. Crunchy English.
Crunchy English. This is their
Yeah.
first and only post.
Yep.
Mike Gill's former employee. He's 5 colorless. Comes in with 4 loyalty plus 1. Give target player 36 booster packs. That player must open those packs and shuffle them into.
I
their
love
library.
the combination.
That's
It's
awesome.
that great combination of being nice to something. It's like, hey, look, here's all these booster packs.
Yeah.
You have to put them into your deck right now.
Yeah.
Thereby destroying your deck.
Yeah.
And this game.
And then a different plus 1 until end of turn. Any player who calls it a display rather than a booster box loses 10 life.
Which is awesome.
And then for -5, exile Mike Gill's former employee to the Microsoft Zone. Each player receives an insane amount of free stuff.
The Microsoft Zone is just to the right of the command zone. I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but it's spooky. That's why I made the noise.
It's a little bit north, actually.
Wait,
I
wait.
think
Hold on. Say it again.
the Microsoft Zone.
If you
Are they
are
in
not watching the video,
Redmond?
that is
Yeah, they're north of.
So yeah, that's our winner for that one. The other honorable mention I like is this one here, which he has 3 different abilities. His first ability is he comes into play with 3 loyalty counters, and costs 1 of everything except a black because he's not evil, I guess,
Nice.
and 2 colorless. And so his +1 ability is players play a Magic sub game using their libraries as their decks. The player who wins that game draws 7 cards. His +2 ability is players play a Magic sub game with their libraries as their decks. Any player who wins the game gives an emblem that says at the beginning of your upkeep, draw 2 cards. You have no maximum hand size. And for -7, players play a Magic sub game using their libraries as their decks. The player who wins that game gets an emblem that reads, the first spell you cast each turn has Cascade.
Wow.
And I love that the explanation for this is design the card to make the game last longer than a draft when every player gets a display box.
Oh
it's
my
just-
God.
You bring this guy out and everybody hates you because you're now going to be playing like 10 games at once.
Wow. So,
Anyway.
all right, moving on.
Yes.
So a while ago we talked about how we were going to, in fact, Kathleen, something that you suggested was talk about cards in Gatecrash that we felt were relevant to Commander, which is our favorite constructed format. I guess really what it comes down to is the primordials, right? Like they're the most important cards, I think.
I think so. Like they're
So,
clearly
there's some-
designed.
We can talk about some legendary creatures as well, but the primordials are clearly designed for Commander, and you can tell because of the wording on the card. So I think we'll just go through them in Wooburg order here. So the white primordial. This is a cycle of 5 rares. This is the Luminate primordial, and this is something that they started doing over the past year. Once they started officially supporting Commander, is that they word things with each opponent.
So I mean,
rather than just a single opponent.
and that's a good indication. Like if you're just looking through card lists, for Gatecrash or for Dragon's Maze or whatever, if you start seeing the word each opponent up there, like if you see sort of this assumption that there might be more than one opponent, keep an eye on that card when you're making your Commander decks.
Yeah.
Because it's obviously a card that Wizards thinks might be good for Commanders.
So these primordials in general, they're would you say, James, they're too expensive to consistently include in Gatecrash limited decks?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Almost every one of them.
Even in limited,
I see them played occasionally.
Yeah. But you don't.
Is this one the best in limited? This is the one I see played the most. This one or the red one?
I see the red. I never see this one. I always see
Really?
the red one.
Oh wow.
I've seen the blue one played because
So this guy
it's
just
flyers,
he swords
but
to plowshares when he comes out.
Yeah, Swords to Plowshares it's generally considered one of the better just sort of straight up removal spells of Magic. And it's an instant for 1 white, and you just exile a creature, but the creature's controller gains life equal to that creature's power, I believe. Is it power or toughness?
power.
It is power. And it's
Awesome picture too.
yeah,
I like
it's
that one.
really good because sure, they gain some life, but no matter what that creature is, it's gone and it's never coming back.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's removed from the game.
it's getting exiled. Doesn't go to the graveyard.
So unless
It's gone.
you're removing somebody's commander, it's an extremely efficient way of removing a bunch of bombs.
Mm-hmm.
And it costs 1, and it's in a color that can't normally do
Yeah.
that kind of stuff for
Yeah.
that cheap.
So, the Luminate Primordial, he's a 4/7 with Vigilance, which is good. He costs 7, which is a lot, but you'll get there in Commander games. And when he comes into play, he does that to every opponent. So you play him, say you're in a 5-person game, if the other 4 players have creatures, you get to kill 4 things, which is really, really, really
Seems decent.
useful.
I mean, everybody's going to be gaining a bit of life, but that's okay because now you also have a 4/7 with Vigilance on the board.
True
So
story.
you can just sit there attacking everybody
and blocking all day
and
long.
blocking all day. Yeah.
In blue, the Diluvian Primordial, I think is really interesting. So it's a 5/5 flyer for 7, which is fine, I guess. Without any other ability, it'd be not great.
I'd like to see this cost for 6 if it was a
Just
vanilla
if it was just a
creature.
5/5, yeah, a 5/5 flyer for 6, you probably would play unlimited actually.
I play this guy as a 5/5 flyer for 7.
Yeah.
Limited. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when he comes into play, or she or
It.
I guess they're
It's
all
an avatar.
They're
right?
all
So-
avatars. When it comes into play, for each opponent, you may cast up to 1 instant or sorcery from that player's graveyard without paying its mana cost, and then you exile that card.
So that's kind of useful. Like, it's pretty good, especially in a commander game, because you can sort of stack those triggers so you can be like, all right, so I unsummon your guy, and then out of your graveyard, I cast, Dreadbore and kill this thing. And, you can get a lot of mileage out of that. It basically, if you are very careful about this, you can, especially if there's anything that's like when target creature leaves play or like goes to the graveyard, put like -1/-1 counters on anything like that. Like if there's any kind of those leaves the battlefield effects, you can get the same effect as you get with the white primordial, but you also get a 5/5 flyer.
This one's a lot more conditional than the other one, I think.
Yeah.
You got to be a little bit careful. Like this one is going to whiff sometimes.
Yeah.
It's probably not going to whiff on everyone though.
But the thing is, yeah, when you're just playing heads up like against one other person, it probably whiffs a lot of the time.
It does.
But when you're playing against 5 people, there's a good chance that you'll get something good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't hold it like I think it's important not to like hold it in your hand until you can get something from everybody.
Yeah.
Like don't, because it's still a 5/5 flyer. Like it's still going to cause a serious board presence. So don't feel that you need to get like absolute maximum value.
But I mean,
out of
still, if you get like the white guys as good because you're gonna exile a bunch of like bombs basically. But this you could, like I said, if you're, if you are clever about how you stack triggers and what creatures you actually kill, you can actually end up doing just as much damage. And I think you arguably have a better creature. So I think this Primordial is better for Commander. Obviously, you have to be playing blue to use it, but I like it.
Yeah,
I would say that of these two, I think the white one's probably better because creatures are
Yeah, the white one, I think it's better.
creatures are scary as hell.
and this guy's more. This guy. There are situations where this guy's going to be complete blowout,
Yeah.
but it's the white guy is going to be a little more reliable.
All right, black guy.
In black, we have the Sepulchral Primordial. He is a 5/4. It is a 5/4 with Intimidate, which is pretty nice. SEPUL. A 5/4 with Intimidate, meaning that you'll just be able to bash in for,
He's right there.
5 damage pretty much every turn. Intimidate means it can only be blocked by black creatures or artifact creatures.
Which is going to happen more often than not, to be honest with you, in Commander.
It's true. Artifacts.
Which is fair. I mean, if you look at that picture, I would be intimidated.
I'm a
by
little
it.
intimidated. Yeah,
That's legitimate.
But this one's terrifying in Commander because when it comes into play, for each opponent you may put up to 1 target creature card from their graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Not until end of turn. You just get it.
Yeah.
You get to dredge something up from everyone's graveyard. Now, very conditional. They might
You're
not. They
gonna
might
have a lot of
not
whiffs on
have
this.
stuff, but
Now, do you think that's what do you how do you think that that lines up against the play instant or sorcery from their graveyard? It seems like
I think this is better.
it seems like there's a greater chance they'll have a creature in their graveyard than, well, not necessarily.
The problem
It
with
depends
this
on
card.
Yeah, it depends.
Yeah, the problem with this card is you'll probably get a lot of weenies, but unless
Yeah.
you're looking for a real good card, like the only, I mean, obviously each deck or each game state is very variable, but I find that the decks that run the best creatures and have the best creatures are the decks that cheat creatures out and put them in their bin. The Reanimator decks, and they have plenty of ways of dealing with you stealing their creature. And if you put this off right after somebody's dumped a big fatty in their bin, you're doing really well. But chances are that then they can just kill it, put it back in their bin, and get it later.
Well, the way I see it, like the way that I would hope to play this is in a heavier black deck with some kind of black sweeper, like you're looking at Damnation or Mutilate or something that is going to wipe the entire board of everyone's creatures. And now it costs 7, so you're probably going to see this on turn 7 or maybe 6 if you have like a Soul Ring or something out there. You can probably get it on turn 6, and by that point everyone else has had a lot of time to develop their board. And if you on 6 sweep and then on 7 this guy, you should be able to get some pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah,
you should be able to take somebody out of the game pretty much next turn.
Hopefully.
Yeah, because if you don't, the way I look at this guy is that when you put him down, you're almost guaranteed to, like, by turn 7, there's a really good chance you're going to get at least a creature from everybody.
Yeah.
But there's a pretty good chance that those creatures are going to be not that great. You're
They're
going to be
gonna
getting a lot of like 2/2s and stuff.
But better than nothing.
But it's better than nothing. Like, it's not going to completely whiff. And if you've just killed something big, then this would be the perfect time to bring this guy out.
Yep. While we're on the subject, just while we're in Gatecrash and Black, and on the subject of sweepers and Commander, I want to just give special mention to the Ogre Slumlord, who's a 3/3. He's a rogue. Don't forget that he's a rogue. Slam your Death Cult rogue into this guy and draft a couple times. And whenever another non-token creature dies, you get a 1/1 black rat. Now, of course, if you're sweeping the board, this guy will die too, so the rats won't have Death Touch when he's off the table, which is the other part of his ability. But anything that can leave you something after a wrath is nice. And if the board is getting kind of gummed up and everybody wraths, then you end up with, like, for every creature that dies, no matter whose it is, you get a rat. So if you get like 7 rats, sure, they're 1/1s, but you have 7 rats. No one else has anything. That's pretty
what
neat.
I think is great about this card is it's a complete non-bow with Merciless Eviction, which exiles everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do not do
that.
I read this like when the set came out, and I was like, "That's so good for." Oh wait,
That's actually, that's just sort of a general, not reanimator, but like a black thing. If you were playing a heavy black deck, be very careful about your various different removals. That you're not exiling things when you want to be putting things in the graveyard.
I mean, I guess
Because that can happen sometimes.
the absolute best case scenario for the sepulchral primordial though is you hit somebody else's primordial.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
no, there's way better case scenarios than that. Like, there's cards with more powerful ETB effects, but like that's pretty good, right?
And there's one more card in black that I wanted to talk about before we move on to the red primordial, which is the white of Precinct 6.
Oh, I love that card.
Once again, this is something that this goes with how they've
It's
WIGH.
with how they've changed the templating for these cards. And he's a 1/1 for 1 and a black, but he gets +1/+1 for each creature in your opponent's graveyards.
Yeah.
So for every creature in everyone's graveyard.
It's amazing just moving that apostrophe one character to the right.
Yeah.
How much difference that makes.
yeah, depending on when you cast this guy, he could be like a 40/40 for like two.
Especially again if you've just done some sort of crazy sweeper thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So over in red, there's the Molten Primordial. He is a 6/4 with haste. So he's one stronger than the other guy, but he gets to go right away, which is he can be really scary. Like you're usually unprepared for this, especially in draft.
He's a crawworm, 6/4.
He is, and or a craw giant,
Yeah.
and he comes into play with his very own act of treason.
Oh, isn't that nice?
He's a 2
Yeah.
for 1, literally.
Yeah, because it's a act of treason by itself is a 3-mana card. So yeah, like he comes in, he comes into play. You steal one of your opponent's guys, and then
Bang
it
in
has
with
haste, and you
both
get to
of
attack with him. But again, in Commander, you get to steal a creature from each opponent.
Yeah.
And you don't. There are some cards that's like you get to control one of each creature, then those creatures have to attack their owners or whatever. You don't have to in this case. You can steal a creature from everyone and then just put everybody at one guy or everybody at 2 opponents.
My favorite thing with this is if you when whenever because you're playing Commander and you're like making alliances with people and stuff, like that guy's dangerous, attack him and stuff like that, right? And so you bring out this guy and you take everybody's creature and you're like, see, attack that guy. Let's all attack it. See, it worked. If we had all done that previously, I wouldn't have had to bring out this guy.
Then we wouldn't have Omnath, Locus of Mana, slowly ticking off over here.
Yeah. This guy works I see this guy working in a mono red or a heavy red Commander deck that's running something like Insurrection, which is the battlefield wide act of treason where you get every creature for the turn.
Yeah.
Like I think I like the black primordial better just because you get those creatures until like forever until you kill.
Yeah,
them or
I mean
whatever.
this guy he has one big turn and then he's like a 6/4 is fine, but he's not that impressive.
Yeah, I think that's
and his haste. I mean, the haste is only applicable the first turn too.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, we'll see the green one, and the green one actually has a lasting effect as well, but it's considerably lower impact. But the red one, the white one, and the blue one, they all come in, they do their thing, and it's big and impressive, and then that's it. Then they are then they are their body.
But
the black one,
the blue one, the
black
blue
one
can,
leaves you with a board presence that you didn't have before.
That's what I'm saying. The black one's effect stays around.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I mean, like the blue one is a 5/5 flyer, which is substantial.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other one, and the white
Like the
one
black
is
one
a
has-
4/7 intimidate.
Or
But the problem is that
vigilance.
vigilance. But the problem is haste only works the one turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this guy's just literally after he comes down, he is a crawworm.
Yeah, he's probably
He's like, okay.
It's like, wow, I paid 7 mana for this.
in limited. This guy's. I agree with you, James. He's probably the best in limited because he can just steal a game by surprising
Well, he's
someone.
a finisher in
Like
even in Commander though, that's what he is.
Yeah, but
He's not a turn 7.
if you don't win or at least kill someone that turn, he's probably got the least lasting impact.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, but like this is a guy who, like we're talking about getting value out of it. This is the guy who you do have to keep in your hand.
Yeah.
Until you can
Reliably
figure
kill
out
somebody.
the math.
Yeah.
So that you can actually kill somebody. There's casting this guy for no or very little value is a very bad move.
Yeah. While we're still in red, I just wanted to briefly talk about the Hellkite Tyrant because this seems like a card that's really only going to cook off in Commander. So he's a 6/5 with flying and trample. He's a big old dragon for 4 red. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, you gain control of all artifacts that player controls. Pro tip, people use a lot of artifacts in Commander. A lot of mana rocks, like a lot of, like, by which I mean Soul Ring or the signets from First Ravnica block, or
key runes. Lots of people.
Key runes now. I'm trying to think what the other classic mana artifacts are.
Manoliths.
Yeah, like Basalt Monolith or
and the
Grim Monolith.
Artifacts that turn to dudes.
Yeah, exactly. So there's generally...
Oh, yeah, Mirror. They're all artifacts.
There's generally a fair swack of artifacts floating around a Commander game. And his last ability is at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 20 or more artifacts, you win. You just win.
Yeah. I mean, alternate win conditions are kind of interesting in Commander, right? Because,
they are.
You know, when you're playing one-on-one, it's just like, okay, rather than doing 20 damage to the guy, you won this way. But in Commander, you win regardless of where everybody else is, right? So you just defeated 4 people with 1 card.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, realistically, by the time you get this guy out, you know, you're not going to sort of cast him for, like, no artifact value. I'm going to wait till somebody puts down a pair of, like, Swiftfoot boots or an armadillo cloak or something like that, and then I'm going to cast
all those
this
equipment.
guy, right?
I forgot about those. Yeah,
all the equipment that people use to protect their super awesome legendary creatures that are.
That's a great way to use this guy.
Yeah, and so like I'm not gonna cast this guy like as soon as I can. I'm gonna wait till they've got like if I'm playing against you, like if you get your Behemoth Sledge out in your stupid elves deck, your stupid I hate that deck because I can't deal with it. It's like wait till you get that on the board. And then cast that or something that I know I can't deal with very easily, right?
Yeah. Now,
although he is into red decks, you're gonna have Shatter, right?
It's Commander, meaning everyone has all the removal in the world.
Yeah.
So the chances of you actually holding on to this guy, like once you start building up your stores of artifacts, your chances of holding on to this guy long enough to actually let his ability trigger and win seems pretty slim. But he's a 6/5. With flying and trample,
right? Like, so what you do is you steal somebody's armadillo. Wait, what is it? Armadillo cloak doesn't give.
That's an enchantment. What are you thinking of? Whisper Silk Cloak?
Well, Whisper Silk Cloak. You steal somebody's Whisper Silk Cloak, and then you put it onto your
right.
You give it Shroud, yeah.
And then you're like.
Well, presumably you're running your own, also.
I love these.
Yes, but you might not have it.
Yeah.
I love these guys that do something when they do damage to a person and also have trample.
Yeah,
because that makes that so much better.
Very difficult to
You
block.
can't just chumps.
Yeah,
but
you
the
can't
thing
just
is,
chump
like,
it.
realistically, he's an alternate win condition, but he's dealing 6 trample damage in the air. He's a win.
He's also a good normal win
He's
condition.
just a clock.
I just love the idea of working your way around the table, collecting everyone's artifacts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, quick note, because this has bitten me in the past. If the guy does have equipment, and you attack with the Hellkite Tyrant, you gain control of that equipment. That equipment is still on his guys.
So you have to pay to
You have to actually move it.
Yeah.
Just because you own it doesn't mean it's not on his dude anymore.
That's an interesting point, actually. This, just as a brief tangent, because this came up for me as well. If you mind control one of their creatures that has an equipment on it, you get the creature, you don't get the equipment. But the equipment stays on the creature until they move it.
Yeah. And they can only move it as a sorcery.
Yeah,
so you'll have it for at least 1 turn.
Yeah, so you steal the guy. If he's, you can, depending on what spell you're using, if you do it end of turn or something, you can steal his guy and attack with it. And then on their next turn, they can pay the equip cost, move it off the creature you now control back onto one of their creatures.
Yeah.
In that case, you steal it and it's on one of their things. But then you got to pay to actually move it to one of your guys.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind.
The last Primordial is the green one, the Sylvan Primordial. So he's a 6/8, and of course he has reach, because it's a giant tree thing.
Is this in your Tree Folk deck?
No, because it's not actually a Tree Folk, it's an avatar.
So often.
When Sylvan Primordial enters the battlefield, for each opponent, destroy target non-creature permanent that player controls. For each permanent destroyed this way, search your library for a forest, and put that card onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library.
So this is amazing, because you can destroy Swiftfoot boots, and you can destroy
Whisper Silk Cloak,
armadillo cloaks, and soul rings, and
sort of the opposite of the white one. It's like the white one hits creatures, this one hits everything else.
Planeswalkers, because non-creature permanent.
Planeswalkers.
Yeah.
Yep.
any land that's bugging you.
Oh yeah, Maze of Ith. Fuck that.
To be
And-
honest, the fact that it
And
turns,
then you ramp yourself up into forests.
yeah, now which is less relevant because at this point you've already got access to 7 mana,
Yeah.
but maybe that lets you do some crazy giant
in
green
green-
sun zenith or something.
Yeah, I mean, like in green, you want.
Yeah,
all
I
the
mean,
mana,
obviously this
so-
guy's only going to be going into a deck that is already doing crazy
and
land stuff.
It's a 100-card deck, right? Worst case scenario, you're filtering, you're filtering all the land out of your deck so that you're drawing more spells.
That's true, right?
But yeah, getting to destroy a bunch of stuff. Now, like obviously creatures are generally the scariest, but you can destroy lands too, right? So if there's, you can take out a specific non-basic that's really bugging you, or a specific mana generating thing, or just a planeswalker. Seems pretty all right.
I think this card is actually I think this one and the black one for me are kind of tied for I think best sort of lasting impact. I think in a game of Commander.
Mm-hmm.
Like the blue one is fun and stacked properly can be as big a blowout as the white one. It has a higher variance. The red one is fine if you want to win a game that turn, or if you want to knock somebody out that turn, but you better hope you can survive the crackback with that because people are going to get mad at you. But this one is just this one deals with so many problems, especially with green. It's a nice way of dealing with problems that green typically doesn't have answers for, like planeswalkers
Right.
and stuff.
I kind of wish, I mean, even though it would make the card worse, that the forest went to the person whose thing you destroyed. Just be like, your thing is a forest now. Especially if they're not playing green. It's just like,
Because then they can't
it
even
would just be
generate green mana.
It would be just so annoying.
I'm so glad. so glad my bloodstained marsh is a forest now.
Yeah. Yeah, so those are the primordials. I still think in Commander, I still think that the black one is going to be the better. Mm-hmm. Is going to have the most meaningful lasting impact on the board state, but they're all pretty awesome. And again, board states and Commander are always in flux because everyone's got removal and sweepers and everything. Obviously, each of the guilds has their own legendary creature that itself could be a commander, but I think you know that. I don't think that we need to go into, if you wanted to make an Aurelia deck, for example, you'd make a really aggressive Boros deck, and then you'd bring Aurelia in and you'd murder people. I think that.
I mean, I like that the different, commanders that you would make out of those, like the different decks that you would make out of those commanders are like the sort of typical deck of that guild.
Yeah.
They're like the commanders those guild leaders are well suited to be the commander of like the stereotypical Boros deck or the stereotypical Simic deck or whatever. I think they made those nicely like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you could make a Borborygmos deck that had a lot of ways to tutor for lands, so that you could throw all the lands at people.
It's a non-bow with Sylvan Primordial.
It is a non-bow.
You do not want both Borborygmos and Sylvan Primordial at the same time. That's
Lazav
bad.
would be a crazy, especially in Commander. Lazav would be some sort of crazy mill deck and everything.
He's perfect in my Una deck.
Yeah. So lots of
I'm
options
already milling
there,
you
but
anyhow, right?
We wanted to talk about the other cards, especially those primordials, and I'm sure we're over time, but we missed last week, so
It
little
evens itself out.
bonus time to make up for it. So, anything else for this week?
I don't think so.
Do we have another?
We don't have another challenge
another
yet.
card?
So.
No.
No, we don't. We'll have to think.
We'll have to think of something.
We'll think of a good one for next week.
By the time, we'll have to think. Yeah. All right.
That was Tap Tap Concede. I'm Kathleen, your comedic relief. So everybody in the club, get down tonight. Get down and sit down so we can draft tonight. And also turn out the lights and stop dancing right near my butt, lady. You are making me uncomfortable. This is probably qualifying as sexual harassment. Get down tonight. Yeah.
And
It's like, all right, the draft is finished. You can start dancing again now.
yes. And for everyone, that was Tap Tap Concede, and we will talk to you next time. Thank you for listening.